Welcome back to the Views from the Grab a Lot podcast. Today, we're going to be breaking down the 2025-26 Buffalo Bills schedule. I'm joined by my esteemed co-host, Trent Curtis. It's been a hot minute. How the hell are you, Trent?
Well, Sabres still haven't been in the playoffs, but the good news is they've won more playoff series than the Toronto Maple Leafs, so we got
Hey,
that going for us.
we got that. Yeah, we do got that going for us. And we also have a pretty easy schedule going for us as well for the Bills. 5 primetime games.
Technically,
It seems easy. It seems easy.
technically, everyone on the schedule hasn't. Everyone on
You're
their
good.
schedule technically hasn't won a game, and technically everyone on the schedule hasn't lost a game. So,
Yeah.
depending on how you want
So
to
you
look
never
at
know.
it, it's either everyone's undefeated or it's the
Hmm.
easiest schedule ever.
Right. So I was gonna say I take it a little bit with a grain of salt because teams it's factored in based on like the wins and losses of last season, and there's many teams on the Bills schedule that are gonna get better. There's gonna be teams that get worse. So I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's more of like an average kind of schedule. I don't see it as like too difficult, but I also don't see it as like the easiest thing in the world because there are opponents in there that are gonna give the Bills some issues. But this is historically a very good regular season
Yeah,
team. But I did want to point this out because you are like the schedule guru on this podcast because you nail it every single year. If anybody wants to go back, a year ago we did the same episode. Trent got the prediction down. He nailed it on the head. So if you guys don't know, I'm going to just tell it briefly before Trent gets into it. The Bills have a trend every single season. They flip on and off. It's either 11 wins or like 13 wins.
it was
Trent,
either
I'll let you go first.
so.
Just kind of explain it a little
the
bit.
the trend of it was the Bills actually ended up breaking this. It kind of reversing this trend a little bit.
A little
The
bit,
trend
yeah.
always was they would lose 3 games, 6 games, 3 games, 6 games, 3 games, 6 games. Because obviously, when the schedule flipped to 17 games,
Hmm.
instead of going 10-6, they went 11-6. Well, last year they went 13-4.
Hmm.
So I was off by a game, but the Patriots game doesn't count. I'm choosing not to count it. The
I
Bills.
wouldn't count it. I wouldn't count it.
I
I,
mean,
I, I would say you got it.
the Bills did the equivalent of like trying to quit a Mad game, but you really don't want to quit that Mad game, so you just call bullshit plays for like
Yeah,
the rest of the game. That's what they did. Like
yeah.
they just threw pop up fly balls to Keon Coleman the whole game. They're just like,
It
please
it
beat us,
was the
Patriots.
game where you have the mobile backup quarterback and you just put him in the run around with them and you don't even really
Oh
try to
yeah,
do anything.
no, yeah, you
That's what
just
that game felt like. Mike White just throwing 50-50 balls to Keon Coleman for 75 minutes, and I just wanted to gouge my eyeballs out. But here we are. We survived it. We made it through that game. It was hard to watch, but hey, we won 13 games and I can't complain.
in fairness,
Um,
we made the Patriots fans have to watch that and
yeah,
have their team win and could
I
lose
mean,
out on all the good
essentially,
players. It's great. I love it.
so many things happened out of that game, right? Joe Milton, I mean, he basically bought the Patriots a draft pick, right, in that game with that showcase, and the Patriots lost out on the first a better pick, right?
Yeah.
So there was so much that came out of that game, and the Bills ended up being the biggest beneficiary of all of it because the Patriots didn't end up getting a guy like Travis Hunter or a guy like they were to consider somebody else, who that be, but they went with Will Campbell, and we'll get into that a little bit later because we're going to talk about the Patriots. But Trent, we'll discuss about the primetime games. That's the first thing I want to talk about. The Bills have 5 primetime games.
Not enough.
That is behind the Chiefs and behind, of course, the Cowboys, right? Because they deserve all the attention in the world. Because they're the Dallas Cowboys and they're the best
I
team
mean,
ever.
I'm going a small little mini rant at the Cowboys here.
Okay,
The
let's hear it.
Cowboys are essentially like a version of what if the Bills were an NFC team during the drought era, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like I look at that team and I think these guys are a drought era Bills team. They have a coach brought on by the owner who doesn't really want to go get a real coach. The GM of the team is also the owner, who really doesn't know what he's doing.
yeah,
A lot Russ Brandon for a lot of years at the Bills. Quarterback's good, which makes them very undrought like, but the
yeah.
rest of the
I would say
team,
that's the only thing. Yeah.
yeah, like they got bits and pieces, but there's just like you look at that team
They
and
have that
just
one premier pass rusher like the Bills have with Mario Williams. With I get what you're trying to say, and they always have like a super like good receiver. Eric Moulds was that guy. If
Lee
Eric Moulds
Evans,
played on
T.D.
any other team,
Johnston.
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
list goes on and on.
yeah, for sure. I get what
But
you're saying. So
Eric Molds if we're going to put some names on the route before we retire it, it needs to be Eric Moulds, Freddie
Eric
Jackson,
Moulds,
and
yeah,
Kyle
yeah,
Williams. Like, put those three
those
up
are the
there,
guys. I
and then we can
saw a
close it out.
tweet not even 24 hours ago. Which Bill would you take from the drought era Bills team? And the first name that came to mind, other than Kyle Williams, was Eric Moulds, because
Oh
I
yeah.
just think about how dominant he'd be with Josh Allen. Because I mean, you think about it, he was with the worst quarterbacks we had during the drought, and
Well, Doug Flutie was good.
he was good, but we're talking about Doug Flutie, who was one snap away from being in a retirement home. It's
Oh, come
it
on
wasn't
now.
great.
He was one step away from he was a step across the border.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, to say the
No,
least. But
no.
here we are, and now the Bills have primetime games, and we had this discussion last year, and it's like an everyday thing now. It's like putting your socks on. It's just a part of your life. The Bills have primetime games. They're awesome, and they're great to see. So we'll go game by game, kind of give our predictions, what we think about these games. But obviously, week one, the Bills get the Ravens, and it's already been discussed. It's already been talked about with the Ravens players. They want their revenge. Roquan Smith's been very public about it. Malachi Starks, their first-round pick, was like, I want to pick off Josh Allen.
Good.
It seems like they're already trying to create everything. And I'm like, I told myself this earlier. I'm like, let them do that. Honestly, I don't even care if the Ravens won the game. It is week one. We have seen the Bills lose to Zach Wilson in week one. We've seen the Bills lose to Ben Roethlisberger in week one under Josh Allen and Sean McDermott.
Oh, don't remember.
I didn't want to. But my point is, it doesn't matter. It's September football. There's a lot of
started from a Zach Wilson loss,
right? So it's only right to bring it up. But
brother,
one of my point is, it's like
for now.
He was playing for Denver. I don't know if he signed it. He went somewhere. I can't remember.
You know what? He's playing for Miami.
You're right. He did sign with Miami.
Number 0.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Wow. But yeah, it's obviously a game. I think it's going to be the best game of the week. The NFL is going to go for their money grab, their headlines, and they're going to look to get it. And I think it's going to be a very fun game, at the very least, even if the Bills don't win it. I had said, I would say the Ravens, I'm going to go with them. I'm just going to side with them a little bit. And here's my reason. I'll give you my reason for it. Obviously, I want the Bills to win. I in a perfect world, right? But the Ravens, I just think they didn't make a ton of sweeping changes this offseason. They're going to be essentially running it back with the exception of DeAndre Hopkins and their draft picks, right? The Bills, they added a ton at defensive line. They added a ton at corner. I think it's going to take a little bit before this defense really gets to where they want to be and play at the level they want to play at. So I think that's going to give you a little bit of a disadvantage, especially going up against a guy like Lamar Jackson. Hate him or love him, you got to be on your P's and Q's. You got to know your keys. You got to be on top of things. And it's just one of those games you're going to need everybody to be buttoned up, and I'm not sure the defense is going to be there yet. So I would say it's going to be tough. And again, it's had high marks, so the Bills obviously have a very good shot at doing it. Trent, what do you think? What would you make of this matchup? Do you think they're going to win? You think they're going to lose? What do you think about
it? I think the gut and heart says Bills. Just out of when we talk about the defense, like if the defense isn't buttoned up with the rookies, Trey White's starting, right? Like let's not delude ourselves into thinking, Sean McDermott's just going to change his
Trey White, who's on the Ravens, has familiarity with their team as well.
Didn't he pick up? Wasn't the Trey White pick up the Notes game also a Ravens game?
Yes, it was.
See, so there we go. He's just deep
he's got inside
all along.
Yeah, he's just a double agent the whole time.
But I mean, like playoff game last year was excellent. I was there for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing of it is that the Ravens are very good. They're a very good football team. Lamar Jackson's a very good football player. I keep telling people this. It's going to come down to if the Bills can stop Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry, for whatever reason, has never been good in high mark. Ever.
Yeah.
Whether it's coaches just stop handing the ball, he eats too many chicken wings the night before. I don't know what his deal is. He comes into high mark. Maybe the ghosts talk to him and tell him to knock it off. I don't know what his deal is, but if you have Derrick Henry on your fantasy football team, if you got Bucky Irving on the bench, go start Bucky Irving. Derrick Henry ain't doing much.
Yeah. Yeah, I see a scenario where it's like Lamar drops back and throws the ball 40 plus times. I mean,
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a Lamar
it
versus
could be
Josh
easily one of
throwdown.
those games. It's gonna be. I've really fully convinced myself the game's gonna be both teams in the 30s, and whoever gets the ball last is gonna win. That's kind of how I see it happening, and it's nothing against each team's defenses, and I'm sure they'll be fine. But it's early in the season. Defenses, you don't know what offenses are going to throw at them. This is a big matchup for both teams. You talk about getting the 1 seed. You want to be able to get that at the end of the year. These are the kind of games you need to win.
Yeah,
And whether it's in September or in December, you need to be able to beat these kind of teams. And so you're going to throw a lot at it. So we'll see what Joe Brady and Todd Monken end up doing schematically, in terms of like how 100% are they going to go in this game. Because there's obviously going to be, you're going to hide your cards to an extent at some point, but this is one of those games. I just think it's going to be firepower, and it's going to be fireworks from the start. Next primetime game happens in week 3. This is going to be a boot to ass game. The Dolphins come in the Highmark on Thursday Night Football. If the Bills were even to lose to the Ravens, I just don't see a single scenario where the Bills lose this game. It is just, to me, Trent, it feels like they're just all playing for their jobs right now. Mike McDaniel, if I feel like if they don't make the playoffs, I feel like he's gone. I feel like Chris Greer should be gone. He should have been gone a while ago. Fun fact, he's a brother of a former Sabres player, Mike Greer. So it just feels like this team is desperate, and it could be one of those games where they go into it way over their heads, and the Bills just lay an ass beating on him. What do you think?
I mean it's going to be another Josh Allen plays Dolphins game. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I don't think it's going to
Prime
be.
time too.
I don't think it's going to be belt to ass like the Thursday night game was last year. I mean that
Mm-hmm.
was a phenomenal belt to ass beating. This one, I think the Bills still going to win. I think the Fish are just that. It's interesting because the last game the Fish played seemed like Miami Mike finally figured it out by just handing the ball off consistently.
Yeah,
Now, will he do that again? To be
he seems
determined.
to hate doing that.
He hates
He just
running the
hates
ball.
doing that, and
I mean,
he gets his caught in his own head when he plays the Bills. Really, as a play caller in general, I saw in the Chiefs game in the playoffs when they went up against them in the wild card, they just kept banging their heads into the wall. Like they weren't going to the simple stuff, and it's what held this team back a couple times. And I just think he does it all the time against the Bills. What's going to
here's the
change now?
thing: is Miami Mike is what Bills fans think Sean McDermott is, or
Mm-hmm.
the anti-Sean McDermott crowd. He's what they think Sean McDermott is.
Mm.
Like Miami Mike, a lot of sizzle, not a lot of steak, and
Yeah,
I think it shows in the fact that Dolphins kind of. I mean, they very much are in the mud. Like if they had a real coach come in, they would be a problem because a real coach would just get rid of all the flash and just
the drama. Yeah, he would
yeah,
just
they would
clean it
just
up.
like listen, we got really fast running backs. We're gonna build it off like Jim Harbaugh. If he came to the Dolphins, I'd be terrified because he would build a running game that would scare the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But
Well,
he
that's the
ain't, so
problem
it's
with the
okay.
Dolphins, right? They don't have an offensive line that they can trust right now, and it's
No,
why they played like they did last season, and it's why Tua's had his injury concerns is because the guy's been getting killed,
but
and that's just
one of
as
his
simple as it
brains
is.
is those Idahoan mashed potatoes and pour some water in it. That's just what they do before the game. They just open up the head a little bit, pour some water
Yeah,
in. He's good to go.
they're just putting him out there to be a tackling dummy at this point. It's not good for not only his health, obviously, but it's just not good for the team, and it's problematic. And I think the Bills take advantage of that. Um, yeah, I don't see any issues with this game. I don't see anything changing until they prove it, right? And they have not proven once in the entire time Mike McDaniel's been the coach or Brian Flores was the coach that they can handle the Bills. And so I don't expect that changing, especially early in the season in that atmosphere. It's perfect weather. It should be. The Bills are just they usually play well in those early primetime games. Think of the Titans game, Monday Night Football, 47-10 won that game. Monday Night Football against the Jags last year, beat the crap out of them. It just feels like it's got that same vibe and same taste to it. So I see a sort of a similar thing unfolding, especially with their success against
I
the
like the cut of
Dolphins.
your jib, so I'll go
What's
with that.
that? Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like the sounds of the boots to ass to the Dolphins.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't hate the Dolphins as much as I hate some of the other teams in the division,
Yeah.
but it's always nice because like the thing is Like we're going to get to some of the other teams later. Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure we'll talk about their fans.
Yeah,
Dolphins fans have been very quiet, like very, very,
for good
very,
reason.
very quiet. Like
Good reason.
I don't know if they're still stuck up in the marina from the F1 race there. I don't know if the traffic's bad. I don't know what's going on, but
It's been
if
awfully quiet since they
yeah,
said that they want Buffalo. I remember when
yeah,
fans were clamoring for that, and it's just been nothing since then. So feels like
damn,
the life of that team is gone, completely
oh
dead, and
yeah,
it just feels
it's
like it's a disaster waiting to happen. And I could easily envision a scenario where they just tank this year, and it's just not good.
I could see.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, because they're not really a team that I
Team
feel
morale is a
like,
big thing, and
yeah,
I'm not
they,
gonna sit here and say they aren't talented. They have talent, right?
oh,
But at the end of
I
the day,
just
you have
said
to
that
have culture. You have to have
HN is
a
frightening.
functionality. Yeah, they have great players, but you need to have the culture in place to establish a winning culture and hang in with the contenders of this league. They're just not in the same weight class, frankly. And so yeah. Speaking of divisional teams, the next primetime game they get is October 5th, 20 Sunday Night Football. The New England Patriots come to town, and Drake May. Trent, I want to
Why?
take this one here because
Why?
I have I was talking to myself about it a little bit earlier. And this game, you want to talk about boot to ass? This is the perfect game for that.
Mhm.
All this offseason, we talk about it. There's this growing sense among Patriots fans and the NFL community, honestly, in itself. Mike Vrabel's back. They got a quarterback. They're adding pieces. They're doing it the right way. And I'm not even going to disagree. I think they did some nice things, right? They had the right approach. They took an offensive lineman. They're trying to protect their young quarterback. I get what they're trying to do, right? But to me, this has to be one of those games where the Bills just make a statement and say, hey, this is still our division. This is still us. And you still got to go through us. And to me, this could be one of those perfect opportunities where you humble them. And you're coming into a very hostile environment, coming into Highmark Stadium. It's obviously a big opportunity for them. But I also think it's a big opportunity for the Bills in the sense where you can tell them, hey, we're still the big bad brother, and you got a long way to go before you want to get to our level. And that's just kind of how I want it to be. This is one of those games where it'd be very vindicating to see the Bills beat them by 30 plus points after all the torture I suffered as a Bills fan. I'm 21. Trent, you're a little bit older, but
Oh
my
yeah.
entire childhood consisted of Tom Brady going up and down the field whenever, wherever he wanted to do it with whoever was in the lineup.
Yeah, I
And
got a few more years of remembering that.
so, yes, I mean, but we both have a very good chunk of our childhood growing up seeing Tom Brady carve up the Bills. Trent, what do you think? This has got to be one of those games to the Bills make a statement, right?
First of all, to the Buffalo Bills organization, please do not wear stupid uniforms to this game. Wear
Yeah,
your
no,
white
no more
helmet,
Reds.
blue jersey, white pants. Stop screwing around with the stupid uniforms. I'm tired of the stupid. Uh,
I don't like
show
the
up
red
where.
uniforms. I honestly don't.
No, I don't. The people clamoring for different uniforms. The Bills have the best uniform in the league. White helmet,
Yeah, some
blue
of them,
jersey,
yeah.
white pants. That's all you need. Away jersey's white. Everything's
I will
white.
say
It
the
looks
standing
good.
buffalo would be nice as an alternate.
It'd
I
be
love the standing
great.
buffalo,
If you're going to do a
but
different
nothing.
uniform,
You don't
do
need to
that
go. You
one.
don't need to make sweeping changes.
All right. Just if you're going to do a different one, do that one. Don't come into this game with stupid uniforms, and you'll win by like 80. If you try to swagger jack the Patriots again, I swear to God, I will make you rebuild that damn stadium across the street. You'll have to play the Ralph again.
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
do it. God, that pissed me off so much.
yeah,
I went to that Patriots game where they swagger jacked them.
yeah. It was ugly,
Bad feel.
and that's the thing, right? The Bills have not played like what recently, right? They've won, but it's been ugly games. It's been like
Yeah, they
drought
need
Bills
to.
kind of games where it's like you're throwing two picks or the
I
run game
need
is not
I need
working.
them to
And
save that red uniforms for like the
it's
road
the
game against
Browns.
the road game against the Browns be a perfect time for it.
Yeah, I mean,
That home Bucks game,
if it's got
like
some kind of bad vibe to it, use it against a team that you just know you're going to beat no matter what.
or just a team that you just like whatever, who cares?
Yeah. Or if it's like the week 18
We got
game and it's like a
or
meaningless
yeah,
game at that point. Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
honestly, the Bucks game is prime for just put on the red uniforms. Just be like, listen, no team goes undefeated.
Yeah. Right.
Like that's a
Right.
prime candidate for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, this is an opportunity. I think I think it's been swept under the rug a little bit because Bills have 5 primetime games, and Patriots were one of them. It surprised me when I was writing up the schedule to post it out. I was like, wow, Patriots, they gave us Patriots on Sunday Night Football. But
I mean, the thing of it is, right? Everyone's excited about Vrabel being back.
mm-hmm,
How far did the Titans go with Vrabel? Remind
AFC
me again.
champion.
They went to AFC Championship game. Whoop-de-doo.
I will say, I mean, in his defense, did not have a quarterback, right? Like Ryan Tannehill was okay. So here's my thinking. Like, I think they're doing it the right way. I think they're bringing in the right guy, the culture guy, to set the tone in the building, to set the standard. You think you got the quarterback. You're trying to protect him. You're trying to add weapons. To me, it's just so hard to get to the point the Bills are at where it's like Patriots fans are trying to convince themselves that, hey, maybe we can top the Bills. You just got so much further to go. Drake May's got about 2-3 years of development at least. You got
Don't
to
get me
have.
wrong. He's a good player.
He is. He is. I think he's shown enough.
He's the byproduct of watching Josh. He's the first quarterback you could honestly say he watched too much Josh Allen.
And there were times where it's like, hey, it worked.
Yeah.
And it's enough. It worked enough where it's like we're gonna really build around this guy and see what happens here. But like I said, this is an opportunity for the Bills to just.
Oh, that's right. Steph Diggs is on the Patriots. That's why
right.
That's the prime
And
time
that's
game.
my other point. He's coming into Buffalo. It is just not going to be fun for those Patriots on that sideline. They're going to get heckled 60 minutes. It's not going to be pretty, and it's not going to be an easy environment for them to play in. And so I'd see the Bills taking this one, and I want it to be a game where they just kind of dominate
Just
from
win.
start to finish. Yeah.
Just win.
Just
win by 2 scores. Make sure the Patriots fans keep watching. Win by 2 scores. Keep them along here.
So the next primetime game they get is the following week, Monday Night Football. The 7:15 start time, the very odd 7:15 start time,
the
doubleheader. Yeah. So we got one of those.
Falcons game?
This is the Falcons game. So
October 13th. Why is this a Monday night game?
I was just about to say the same thing. It is probably the most. You could handpick any opponent on this team, and I probably would have named the Falcons as the last team that would have made it to the Monday night matchup against the Bills. This is the Bills' only Monday night football game.
Saints,
and I don't even know if they're going to get Joe Buck or Troy Aikman because I don't know if they do the double headers, to be quite honest with you.
Buck and I don't know. Aikman do one of the double headers.
So maybe they get them, maybe they don't, but it is the earlier game, so probably not.
No.
So it just feels like Monday Night Football, and ESPN doesn't feel like giving the Bills any more attention. It's just weird.
Maybe but Joe Buck is just like, listen, I know my record calling Bills games. I don't want to call one.
Also, Joe Buck did. I'm willing to give Joe Buck some slack because he did predict the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl this year. So, hey, we'll give him that.
It's the reason for the season.
Yeah, and so here's the thing: they're coming off of an early bye. The Falcons are, so the Bills are going to have a rest disadvantage. But my point is like I don't even know what to make of the Falcons at this point. It's going to be one of those things where it's just really early for me to predict because I don't know what this team's going to look like. Michael Penix, they have some pieces there. Bijan Robinson, they invested heavily on the defensive line. You got Drake Lundy. You got some nice quality pieces, right? You got a good building block. But this team could go either, 6-11, or they could go 11-6. Like,
yeah, that's the thing.
I think it's a big, wide range of outcomes for them, right?
And it's you asked me about like the Falcons and the Saints. Falcons, honestly, for me, because even like the Saints, I kind of have like some baseline. Because you hear enough about the Saints, right? And I got a friend down in Charlotte, so I hear enough about the Panthers, and obviously Baker in Tampa. So you kind of, I kind of keep.
You know what their floor is at, yeah.
I know nothing about the Falcons. They exist for me. They're a team. They play football. They're not bad. They exist. They there.
Feel like if you could still be a 500 team, they'd be a 500 team. That's just
Falcons,
what they feel like to me.
The Falcons, to me, are the ultimate. They're their team. They exist.
This is like Rex Ryan level Bills, like they're just hanging around. They're just having fun playing 20th or 22nd in the league. And they're petting around.
Like the John Boy's video about the Falcons, about how the Falcons always have to be goofy. This Falcons team's not goofy. they exist. The Kirk Cousins is their backup quarterback. Like they're just there.
Yeah, and it's just an odd game. And yeah, I mean,
You know what it's like? It's
hypothetically,
probably like how they gave them the Chiefs primetime game last year, right?
yeah, right.
Like
And they almost end up winning that game, which is funny.
it's probably going to be the same.
Yeah, I was gonna
Just
say it
out
could
of
very easily be a trap game, right? They're
yeah.
coming off of a bye. They have the rest. It's in Atlanta. You're gonna be traveling a little bit. You're gonna go down south to Atlanta, and it's just like, it could be one of those games where the Bills don't give it their all, right? And it's Monday Night Football. You don't really not want to be there, and
Oh,
hey,
they're still going to give it all. It's just going to be one of those games where just football. The
might be a little
football
bit
is
sloppy.
shaped not perfectly round. It's going to be
Yeah.
one of those games where the football's not shaped perfectly round.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a 50-50 for me, right? I would go Bills just because they have the experience in playing in these kind of environments and these kind of settings, and I go Bills here. I don't think the Bills are going to lose more than 4 games this year, and I think the Falcons aren't going to be one of those 4 teams that beat them if you look at their schedule, right?
Stay tuned for my prediction about the record.
I'm looking forward to it. So before we get to some more stuff, we're going to do our last primetime game. This is, funny enough, the furthest the Bills will travel all season. It's going to be in November 20th, 8:15, Thursday Night Football. They're heading to Houston, play the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football.
I forget we don't classify 4:15s as prime times.
Yeah, I was going to have that conversation with you.
I was actually going to ask how many 4:15s do we got?
I was going to have that conversation
feels like a lot.
because it's a lot, right? And it's like I would rather divide it up into the night games rather than the 4:15 because I would consider that like national attention, right? Like it's getting that, but if we're gonna cover those games, it's gonna be like half of our schedule at this point, you know. So it's like it's gonna consume a lot of our airtime here. But
you could just skip the 1 o'clockers; they don't matter.
Yeah, they screw them, right? But they go to the Houston Texans. They play them here. I like the Texans defense. I think it's a really good unit. I think the Bills don't lose them 2 times in a row. They lost them this year in Houston. I don't think they lose them this time. And there's a couple of reasons why I think that. I think their offensive line is just a mess right now. It's a revolving door. And we talk about offensive line having the success it does, and you point directly to the Bills and, you know, their continuity being a reason for that success. And when you have a team like Houston consistently changing parts and there's so much communicating on the offensive line and there's a lot of different assignments and things you have to take care of, it's not an easy group. And you got to have 5 guys gel together and stay healthy. And all 5 of these guys, I just don't feel good about one particular player. Remember, they traded Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders, their best offensive lineman, who, you know, had a down year, but, you know, you don't feel good about the ceiling of what this offensive line could be. So I think it could be one of those games where the Bills have those random, you know, breakout games from Greg Rousseau, and he gets like 3 sacks, and it's like, hey, the Bills end up beating the Texans, and you're not surprised because their offensive line stinks. What do you think?
I mean, as always, be careful because Bills went down to Houston last year, and Josh Allen reverted back to 2018 version of Josh Allen.
Rough game to watch.
That game was so bad that Brandon Beane said, "Screw this! I'm trading the 3rd for Amari Cooper." I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to get a grasp on these Southern teams just out of they are very inconsistent. Like
up and down.
Yeah, I've made this point on this podcast before that each division you're starting to see more like teams are starting to fall into stereotypes of each division, unless one team just pulls away from the pack, like Bills and the Chiefs. Honestly, they don't really fall into the vibe of their division. They're their own division. It's the Bills and Chiefs. The Texans kind of fall into the what team are you getting this week vibe of the AFC South. So it's hard to predict.
It's a coin flip, right?
Yeah.
I would just say
it's going to be one of those games where like you're going to need to see who's on the injury report.
Right. I agree. And I think the travel is a big thing, right? You're coming off a short week. You're going to be traveling to Texas. It's not an easy thing for the human body to deal with, right? No matter what. But I just think law of averages tell me that they're not going to lose to the Texans twice in a row. I just think they, you know, get back this year. And I don't see them. I don't see the Texans beating us, and it's just a weird thing. It's one of those gut kind of feelings. It's not really based on a ton of information or data or facts presented to me. It's just more of like gut feeling. I think they just bounce back and beat the Texans. It's just one of those games, and it's a game I don't mind. I don't love Thursday Night Football personally. I think the coverage is pretty subpar now. Al Michaels sounds like a snail in the booth, and he just doesn't bring any life anymore.
The in-game commentary is bad. Everything else around is pretty good.
I like the pregame show with Andrew Whitworth,
pregame,
Ryan
postgame show.
They're pretty cool. So that's something kind of slipped my mind, but the in-game coverage,
Herb Street,
chunk of it.
When Herb Street really cares about what matchups on, he tunes in. Otherwise, you can kind of tell, like he's like, all right, Ohio State's playing who this week?
The Saints or the Jaguars. I'm not
like give a shit. Man, I really wish I was getting ready for Penn State versus Minnesota.
Yeah. So this was one of those games, but I see it. I understand why it's on primetime. Makes sense. But I think the Bills win at least 4 of those 5. I think they win 4 of those 5 primetime games. I think it's pretty obvious they lose to either the Texans or the Ravens. I would think you would say Texans, and I would say Ravens. I think that's where we're kind of at right now, right?
Yeah,
I would say that's probably fair. So I mean, we're kind of on the same. We're on the same wavelength, just different opponents. One thing I wanted to ask you, because I had saw it come across my timeline the other day, and it's an interesting thing that I think is a little underrated when we talk about the schedule, and it's travel, right? Travel has a big to do with like wear and tear on the human body. What's the injury report looking like in December and January? Because you're traveling so much, and you're putting a lot of stress on your body. The Bills travel the second fewest miles in the NFL. Only the Bengals travel less than them with 8,700. The Bills travel 10,546 miles to be exact, according to this. It was Adam Schefter that posted it.
Damn. Terry might be able to afford a good hockey player.
He might be able to. And the Bills, if you guys didn't see their report card grade, they were F for team travel. So less traveling's the better, probably. Because maybe they're flying commercial or they're on Spirit Airlines or something like that. But
I saw they get flown on like I thought it was a Delta plane. They get still.
It might be. I don't know exactly.
Delta plane that I fly to go to New York City. I can see why they don't like it.
Yeah,
we need to get back on JetBlue.
But yeah, I think personally, I'll start and I'll kind of let you give your opinion on it. I think it's a huge advantage because, for one, this has been the Bills' biggest Achilles heel in the playoffs. Like, they haven't had all of their guys like good to go, right? This past year specifically, we talk about 2024, 2025, Christian Benford, he's dealing with concussion issues. Maybe, hey, if you get a first round bye and you get less travel and you're not going to, you're not playing the Broncos in the wild card round, you have that extra week, he's fine, right? Or, they play one less game, they don't fly to LA, and it's, to me, I think it's pretty obvious the more traveling you do, it's the more stress on your body and the more likely you're going to get injured. And I think obviously less injuries, the better. And the cleaner that injury report looks like in January, hopefully February for the Super Bowl, the better, right? And less travel is more likely for that to be the case. Obviously injuries, a lot of it has to do with luck. But if you want to play the numbers and play your odds, I feel better about the injury report looking better if we have, less miles travel. What do you think? What do you think about it?
I think the biggest thing about travel too also is the opponent you're playing.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of times where, and it's time of day too, because one of the biggest things I think about is that Chargers game they played like on a Saturday a couple years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking about that same thing in my head.
And like, right, it's a game that you felt like if Justin Herbert's playing, they lose. And you're like,
yeah,
why were we this close with the Chargers?
Easton Stick, by the way.
Easton Stick.
Yeah.
That's a thing you buy at Dick's Sporting Goods. You almost beat us.
Yeah.
Because like that's a big thing too. Is like the Bills have traveled quite a bit. Like they went up to Seattle and just boots the ass Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And Seattle weather. I mean, it was raining and it was nice, and then wasn't nice, and then went back to being nice. They still put boost ass to the Seahawks. So I don't think it's necessarily travel's when you travel. It's how you're traveling. Mm-hmm. Like late in the season, honestly, part of one of the things that's mildly concerning is they do Browns, and then Patriots back-to-back. You are going into 2 really awful weather places.
Yeah, that
late in the
stretch
year.
there is pretty rough, right? They
Like,
get
that
Cleveland.
is
They get a lot of games in Buffalo in December, which is like fine because you would think the
honestly, they
players are
didn't
used
really
to it.
get that many in December. Like, their back end of their schedule is kind of away loaded. Like, the last
This year,
3
or are we talking about last year?
this year, I'm pretty sure. Like, the last
No.
2
This
games are
year,
home.
so last 2 games are home. Then they get Cleveland and New England. I'm just saying, and then they get Cincinnati. All their December
Oh, okay,
games,
so
and they
Cincinnati's
also
home.
get Pittsburgh
Okay.
in November 30th. Like
No.
Cincinnati is home, so a lot of these games it's not great for weather, right?
No.
So I don't love that part of the schedule. If there's
They
one
should have
gripe
put
I
the
had about the
Dolphins down there.
schedules,
What in the
yeah,
world?
give us that late Miami game they usually like
Come
to give
on
us, but they gave
now.
us them earlier in November this year.
Come
So
on now. That's not very
yeah,
nice.
I didn't like that. Give us Miami in like week 15, right?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
take
what is
that
this?
when they're just done and they don't care about their season anymore.
What is
And we
this?
can
What
get
is this
a nice little
crap?
win.
Playing New England.
Yeah.
It's going to be
So
miserable.
speaking
At
of
least that's a. I think that's a 1 o'clocker. Is it a 1 o'clocker?
the Miami game,
The Patriots game.
the Patriots game is a 1 o'clock game.
Okay, so I feel better because, at 1 o'clock the weather's gonna be nicer than 4 o'clock at that
You would
time of
think,
year.
yeah, you would think.
I mean, it is. It's gonna be warmer. That's just science. The sun revolves around the earth.
Sometimes you never know with the weather though. But it's so hard to predict in December. There's games where it's like, wow, why are they playing on the field right now? But it's football, right? And the Bills should be accustomed to this, and they should be prepared for this.
I cannot wait for Bills at Browns late in December.
Yeah, it's going to be like a 20 to 6 win. Shadur Sanders comes into the game.
That shit's going to be like 12-5.
Shades of Derek Anderson and Trent Edwards.
Oh,
it's going to be
Derek Anderson might be playing quarterback for the Browns at that point.
Yeah, it'd probably be better than what they have. So,
yeah, probably.
The next thing I want to talk about, though, is the bye week, because I think that's a relevant thing when we talk about the schedule in terms of when it is at the various point of the season. The Bills get a week 7 bye. So
early.
The last team, I looked this up, the last team with a week 7 bye that won a Super Bowl was the Broncos in 2015. So it's not the end of the world, right? But I think recent history will tell us a lot of the Super Bowl winners have been closer to that midway point, because it's sort of that perfect little sweet spot where you're kind of just getting your rest right at the right time, and then you just ramp it up for playoff action, right? You get that perfect rest week, and then you're like full go. You're locked in for the rest of the way. But whereas if you get a late bye, you're kind of just thrown off a little bit. If you get an earlier bye, you're just your body's giving up on you into January. It's not like the biggest thing, right? I'm not going to put all the eggs in this basket, but I do think it matters, right? I do think having a bye week that's later on could provide advantages to the Bills. What would you say about the bye week in terms of what it can bring and offer the Bills in week 7, or whereas it could have given us different advantages in like week 9 or 10?
I like a later bye week just out of the fact that
not super late, but like a later, like midway, like week 10, week 11.
And if anything, the Bills playing, I think the Thursday night game is the week before Thanksgiving, right?
You could be right. Let me look.
I'm
Thursday
pretty
night
sure
game,
it's right before.
It is. It is November 20th. So you're right.
Get a nice little break, and so that's almost
10 days
of itself. It's
10
a mini
days
bye week because obviously you got Thanksgiving in there. So most teams, Thanksgiving, if they're not playing on Thanksgiving, it's just like hey, we're playing somebody this Sunday. All right, go eat turkey. Like that's what it is for most teams. So that and yourself, you give yourself a little mini bye there.
I also think you'd hope week 18 they're resting the starters as well. If the 1 seed's not in play, or if it's already locked up.
I hope the 1 seed's in play. We're undefeated and we put 100 points up. We take the goalpost down. We put new ones up.
Right in front of the Jets and Justin.
I want boots. I want all the boots to ass. I want their green smoke coming out of the arena, not because we elected a new pope, but because the Jets are smoked.
Yeah.
Close out the Ralph on a good note.
The season should be taken care of, and they should take care of business. But, yeah, I mean, I think the bye week is, like, it's an interesting discussion to be had, right? It's like, when you
It's
want
early.
it, when
It's early.
I think it's a little early. I would agree with you.
I like the week 10 bye. I think week 10's
I
about
week 10, week 11 is kind of where I like
it's
it.
the right
Yeah.
spot for a bye week because you get
Yeah.
through the first part of the season, you get through the slog of the first part of the season. You play
Hmm.
you play some stupid you lose to the Panthers. You're like, why did we lose to the Panthers? Then you go
Yeah.
in your bye week and then you put the boots to ass to
Yeah.
somebody and you feel much better.
So
So
the one thing I did notice about the buy, and it kind of slipped my mind when I was thinking about it when I was talking about it was we were preparing for the show. So week 6, week 1 through 6, you obviously have the suspensions of Larry Ogunjobi and Mike Hoyt. So that plays you right into the bye week where they have that full week to now ramp up and gear up and be ready for that game. Also, I think coming off the bye, I think it's a good opponent for you to beat. It's in Charlotte, but it's like prime Bills fan territory. There's a
oh yeah.
lot of Bills fans down
Oh
there.
my goodness.
It's gonna feel like a home game. I actually want to travel to that game. It's one of the games on my list I want to go to because the tickets are usually relatively cheap. I've been to Charlotte. It's a great city. NASCAR
Charlotte,
Hall
North
of
Carolina.
Fame. It's
Exactly.
awesome.
Exactly.
It's awesome. It's there's a lot to like there, and that's one of the things on my list. Of what next stadium I want to
There's
travel
quite
to.
a few Bills backers bars in Charlotte.
Oh
There's
yeah,
there's a lot of
So
West New Yorkers down.
I think that plays into the Bills
Charlotte,
in terms
North
of
Carolina.
the best opponent they could have gotten off the bye, right? Like it's a nice little tune-up game, prepares you right before the Chiefs. You get your guys right. You get a full week of Hoyt and Ogunjobi back into the lineup, integrated into what you're doing.
Plus, McDermott's probably going to want to win
it's
his
nice.
return to Charlotte.
Yes,
so.
right. I don't think he has not won. They played it. So the first game they played, funny enough, I remember this. It was week 2, and it was Cam Newton was still the quarterback. It was Tyrod Taylor versus Cam Newton, and it was like 10-3, and Zay Jones dropped the game-winning touchdown. It might have been 9-3 or something like that. Zay Jones dropped the game-winning touchdown.
As soon as you said Tyrod versus Cam Newton, I instantly remembered.
Yeah, it was a rough game to watch. That was the first year of Sean McDermott, believe it or not, as a coach. It was coming up that week. We beat Josh McCown and the Jets.
Yeah, this is the ride we're on.
Yeah, so we've gone a long way from here. So I mean, I'm a Bryce Young believer. They exist.
On me.
I like what they're doing, right? I think they got a good thing going, but they're just.
I don't know what they're doing, but Bryce Young's.
They're not in the same weight class as the Bills. I like what they're trying to do.
They're the Falcons weight class. They're in the weight class of what y'all doing. What's going on?
Let's get into the playoffs and try to do something here. Let's get a wild card berth.
Let's get into the playoffs and get smoked by the Lions.
Let's feel like we did something. We didn't just not make the playoffs.
Listen, 7 seeds should exist for those teams. They shouldn't exist for the Packers.
It's a momentum builder.
Yeah,
it's a momentum builder.
The Packers,
we're building something here.
Yeah, teams that are established and tumble into the 7th seed. Get out of here. You don't belong here. Denver was a nice 7th seed because it's okay.
You feel like you're starting something.
Boost the ass. Okay, well, thanks for coming, Denver. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for the TV. Thanks for the sales and the fans in the stadium.
Appreciate the 1:00 game.
Yeah, we do. Couple more things I wanted to talk about before we wrapped up here, just as we kind of conclude this whole episode. But the last thing I want to talk about is the AFC East and the landscape, because we talked about it at great length in this podcast. As of right now, Trent, based on the schedule and all the information we have to us, 1 through 4, obviously the Bills being 1, what are your standings looking like for the AFC East come January when the season's over?
Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets.
Okay.
And Dolphins went on tiebreaker off of beating the Patriots.
Gotcha. So I'm lower on the Dolphins. I got the Bills obviously at 1. Then I do have the Patriots sticking
now the question is, how many wins do you give the Patriots? Because I have a win total in my mind that is perfect, and I think they've done exactly the right moves to stay around this win total.
9.
Ooh, that's a little higher than I was going to give them. I was going to give them 7.
7? I think 9.
I think they've built the perfect team.
They do have a very easy schedule. I want to point that out.
8-9. Oh, we say easy now. Did we all think the Commanders, Redskins are going to be good?
No. Definitely not. I think a lot of Patriots fans are trying to convince themselves that they're going to win 12 games, which is just insane. You could easily lose some of these games. Like the Raiders, I could see the Raiders beating them. See the Dolphins beating them. These are trap games. I don't think they're going to just walk away with a lot of these games. But they should beat the Saints. They should beat the Titans. Beat the Browns. The Falcons will be a test. The Bucks, I think they split a game maybe with the Jets or something like that. They play the Bengals, they play the Giants, so like then they play us twice, and they got the Ravens. So it's not like this walk in the park that I think a lot of people are making it out to be. But I do have them at 2, and I actually have the Dolphins finishing last. I think the Jets go ahead of them in 3rd. I think the Dolphins.
You think that bumbling, stumbling Jets team gonna win more than like 4 games?
I do. Because I think that they know how to win 6 games. The Dolphins could not win 6 games. You know what I mean? Like the Jets are just great at being average. Jets? I know who they're starting for. I'm just saying I just see a train wreck for the Dolphins happening, right? And I see it falling off the tracks for them, and I'm not buying into what they're doing.
I don't think Justin Fields is that much better than Aaron Rodgers 2020.
No, he's definitely not. It's just to me it feels like
good enough to really do much anyway.
They weren't. It just feels like they have a better floor. I think the Jets do, but I have a lower ceiling. But I trust the floor more than I trust the Dolphins ceiling.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel about it. I love doing these episodes because it's just that time of the year, and it's we're gonna try to ramp things up here, give you guys more stuff to talk about, and as we kind of dig into the dog days of the off season, and
we got to talk about the biggest controversy from the Bills schedule release video. Or are we just going to ignore?
Go ahead, Trent. You gotta. The floor is yours. The floor is yours, Trent.
For those of you who listen to this podcast and swing a certain section of the batter's box, like if you go around like 7 seconds into the video, you will see why everyone talks about Josh Allen's shorts.
Yeah, definitely. It's there's something there. I mean, it's there. I knew immediately what you're talking about as soon as you said the word shorts. So, for any fan listening, you might want to, depending on. I mean, anybody should be able to like be fine with that, but
but like if you're really looking for
it was crazy. It was
oh my God, man.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe we are even talking about this.
Listen, it's May 19th.
Right.
We're getting ready for the Indianapolis 500, and we're talking about football. What we could talk about is very limited.
Yes. It's getting harder.
July and August,
pun intended.
Like what we could.
That was pretty good, right? That was pretty good. Oh, Trent's dying over here.
That was good.
Yeah, I mean, again, thanks everybody for tuning in as we kind of just joke our way to the end here. But we do appreciate everybody tuning in wherever you're listening or you're getting your visual or audio viewing pleasure on Spotify, YouTube. Go ahead, Trent.
Wait. We forgot one thing.
What? What's so important?
Records.
I mean, we do this every year, and okay. If you want a number, I'm going 13-4. I think they go repeat as last year. 13-4.
I'm going 13-4 as well.
Wow. We're actually in agreement. I was actually shocked. I thought you were gonna go.
I think they're gonna bust a funk. They finally break out of the even year odd year thing.
Mm-hmm.
They host the AFC Championship game, and we pray to God that the Chiefs do not close Manley Fieldhouse and close out the Bills season, because I will never forgive them. I will never forgive that. Can you imagine NFC Championship game in the Ralph, Bills Chiefs?
Man,
because for those of you who are collegiate fans, the Syracuse Orange's first arena was closed out by their most hated rival, Georgetown, in which afterwards they said Manley Fieldhouse is now officially closed. I don't want a repeat of that with Travis Kelce talking to Tracy Wolfson. So, please, Bills. Y'all need to
literally ended on a high note. Like this is the perfect opportunity. This stadium has seen a lot of shit. It's been through a lot of shit. This is your chance and your moment.
I mean, if you really
there's gonna be more. There's more to it than a normal season would, right? Like even I know the goal is the same, the destination is still the same, but it's not going to feel the same because you're not
No.
playing in this place. You're saying goodbye to this place. If you guys don't know, if you guys don't pay attention to like English football or soccer or anything, Everton, who's my favorite soccer team, did the same thing. They closed down one of the most storied English, soccer stadiums ever in Goodison Park, and they ended on a win because that's the way you got to go out, and you have to go out on
regular
top.
season win or playoff win? We got to clarify.
There's no playoffs in soccer. Right. You know that.
They don't have playoffs in soccer.
No,
there is a winner. Draw strong.
No, but I mean, my point stands, right? Like, you need to make sure that this stadium goes out and gets the ending it deserves because, the fans deserve it. The stadium deserves it, right? And this obviously they're only moving across the street. It's not like they're moving 20 miles away or something like that.
I mean, you've seen that new stadium, man? That crap might as well be in Mars. Like, that stadium will look way different.
Looks pretty sweet. So
also,
I'm excited for it.
The first ever regular season game in the Ralph was against the Jets, and the last regular season game ever will be against the Jets.
That's funny. I like that fact. Thanks for dropping that on me because I did not know that. But yeah, it's obviously
you should hate the Jets.
Right.
They started this damn curse.
Let's end it with the Jets by beating the brakes off of them and Justin Fields.
Oh, I would love it.
But yeah, I mean, this is obviously a stadium for me, myself. I've gone to many games. I've experienced a lot of emotions in that stadium. Trent, you have as well. It's a lot of where our great core memories were made as Bills fans, and we've experienced a lot of ups and downs there. But there's only one way it should end,
this
right?
Stadium
and it should be
never have the experience of having a father son walking around the stadium looking for like $50 tickets to go watch. Spencer Johnson, Tebow,
scalpers or anything like that. You don't get that.
No, the new stadium is the house Josh Allen built. Like, that crap's nice.
This last stadium was just sort of like your friends and family going to a football game. This new stadium is more like, hey, you gotta have a little chunk. You gotta have a little change in your pocket. If you want to go.
It's gonna be. It's welcome to the new world. Like, I've been to like some of these other stadiums. I'm like, man, this place is kind of nice.
Yeah,
football here.
It's quite different. But I will say,
like, oh, they play football here.
I'd rather have the vibe. I value the vibe over the stadium and the atmosphere. I mean, the atmosphere at Highmark, I might just be biased. I am biased.
We are biased.
It's better than anywhere else.
We have never claimed to be unbiased ever.
Yes. I don't even know why I said might. So.
Listen to the show. You should. I don't know. At what point did you think we were unbiased?
I think they would find out relatively within like the first 10 seconds of us
Especially
talking. Wow, these guys are really on one side of the fence.
And you just see my face pop up. You should just or my voice. You just stop listening.
Really should not. You should not be watching.
Episode.
Yeah.
Just wait till we find the last episode.
Brent, it was a pleasure, as always.
Pleasure's all mine.
Pleasure of everybody else tuning in. We hope that everybody else is able to see our many rants and our feuds on here in the coming months and coming weeks, because we got a lot more planned for you guys, and I'm just so excited. Last season, Highmark, I plan on going on as many games as I can, and I'm sure you want to do the same. But
I'll be at least at one.
You got to at least go to one, close it out, and get that last experience. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, links will be in the description down below. Without further ado, me and Trent are signing out. Have a good day and go Bills.
Go Bills.